Hey girly, today I want to tell you a story that doesn't feel far away, even if it's happening across borders. It's about something as simple and human as a strand of hair, and how in Iran in 2025, that tiny strand is still powerful enough to get a woman arrested. Not because it threatens anyone's safety. Not because it hurts anyone. But because it challenges a system built on control. Imagine a girl named Layla walking to buy bread on a regular morning. Her scarf slips just a little as she bends down to tie her shoelace. A few minutes later her phone pings. She hasn't signed up for anything, but the state surveillance cameras have. The message tells her she has been recorded, violating hijab law. There is a fine attached. If she doesn't comply, she could face court, interrogation, or detention. This might sound unreal, but it's what many women in Iran describe happening now. After 2022, Iran expanded surveillance technology to reinforce dress codes more strictly than before, using cameras in public places, on highways, in markets, and even outside schools. To understand why this still happens in 2025, you have to look back at the event that shook the world. In 2022, a young Kurdish Iranian woman named Mahsa Jina Amini died in custody after being detained for improper hijab. Her death sparked one of the largest protest waves in Iran's modern history. Women burned their headscarves, young girls removed them in classrooms, and crowds chanted for freedom. Those images traveled everywhere, and for a moment it felt like the country might change. But instead of easing restrictions, the Iranian government doubled down. Authorities realized that the hijab wasn't only a religious symbol. It was a test of obedience. A political tool. Their logic was simple. If women could publicly refuse the dress code, they could publicly refuse other forms of control. And that was unacceptable to the state. So the response wasn't compromise. It was an upgrade of enforcement. The morality police regained power. Surveillance systems expanded. And new punishments were introduced, like instant digital fines, travel restrictions, and forced guidance classes. Women driving without a tight scarf could have their cars seized. Store owners could lose their license if uncovered women appeared in their CCTV footage. Even influencers were targeted. A single uncovered post could lead to interrogation. One example that made headlines was a marathon on Kish Island. Thousands of women ran without properly wearing hijab, some without it at all. Instead of celebrating a sports moment, authorities detained the organizers, accusing them of violating public decency laws. It was a reminder that even joyful events become political if women are visible, confident, and uncovered. But behind every headline is a quieter truth. Girls who have never broken a law in their lives now walk with constant fear. Mothers tell their daughters to tighten their scarves. University students keep spare shawls in their bags. Some women still resist, but resistance comes with risks. Being followed, detained, fined, or added to databases that restrict employment and travel. Human rights groups have repeatedly reported that Iran uses both physical patrols and automated technology to track hijab violations. And many analysts argue that mandatory veiling represents the state's authority itself. If women begin choosing for themselves, the entire system of centralized control weakens. What makes the story even more painful is that Iranian women have been fighting this battle for decades. They were told the hijab law was about culture, then about religion, then about modesty. But over time it became clear that it was about power. When you can dictate how someone appears in public, you control not just their clothing but their voice, their movement, and their visibility. By 2025, the world watches, but inside Iran the struggle continues in small, quiet acts. A girl loosens her scarf in a crowded street. A mother walks briskly without adjusting hers. A student stares back at a police officer instead of looking down. These gestures don't look like revolutions, but they carry the weight of everything Iranian women have endured. Each act says, I know the risk, but I also know my worth. And that's why arrests still happen. Because the government understands the symbolic power of women choosing for themselves. A few strands of hair represent something much larger: dignity, autonomy, and the refusal to be invisible. So when we talk about Iran in 2025, remember that it's not just a dress code. It's a struggle over who gets to control a woman's body, and who gets to decide how free she is allowed to be. And sometimes, girly, the smallest details tell the biggest story. A piece of hair is not the crime. The crime, in the eyes of the powerful, is a woman choosing to live on her own terms.